Alright guys, so in this example we're going to be creating an SSH key pair for the rXg so that we can log in via SSH. I'm doing this on a Mac using a program called iTerm. You could also do this using Terminal. So the first thing we want to do is switch to our SSH directory. So I'm going to do cd.ssh, and then we're going to type a command ssh-keygen. And then we're going to issue a couple of options on that. One is going to be to set the type to RSA, and the other one is going to set the bitrate to 4096. We'll press enter. And then it's asking me, is this the path and the name that I want to use? And it is not, so I'm going to change the name to RSA_temp5. And then it's asking if I want to attach a passphrase to this private key. And that's a good idea because if you lose your key or if somebody gains your key, they need to have both the key and the passphrase to be able to log into systems. Otherwise, without entering a passphrase here, then you would just need the key file to log into a system. So I'm going to go ahead and create one. And now I've created that key, and if I do an ls, I can see temp5 here, and I have a temp5.pub. So the next thing I need to do is I need to open using cat. So I'm going to do cat id_rsa_temp5.pub. I need to open the public key, and we're going to copy this over to the rXg. If I go to System and Admins, and I create a new key, and we're going to call this temp5. Password is going to be entered. And then I'm going to go down here where it says SSH key pairs, and I'm going to call this temp5. You can call it whatever makes sense to you. And this box right here is very important to check to make sure that you are authorized for admin login. And so I'll go ahead and hit, you can set an expiration date on this key as well if you want. I'm going to go ahead and hit create. And then we'll go back, and I'm going to test my login now. So I'm going to go SSH temp5, which was my admin account that I created, at lab1.rxg.ninja, which is the FQDN of the system. And then I'm going to, since I have multiple key files, I'm going to specify the exact key file that I want to use. So I do -i for identity, and then that's going to be id_rsa_temp5 without the pub, because this is the private key that I need to use on my laptop. It's going to ask me for my passphrase. And now I've logged into the rXg via SSH from iTerm. Okay, I've switched to a Windows machine, and we're going to use a program called Puttygen that gets installed with Putty to create the SSH key pair. The first thing that we need to do here is set the strength of the key. So 2048 is the default. We're going to change this to something higher like 4096, or in my case 8192. Then we'll press the generate button, and now you have to move the mouse around in a random order to get it to randomize the way the key is created, and then it'll generate that key. Now that the key is created, we have an option here to save both the public key and the private key. We're going to start by saving the public key, and I'm just going to save this here to my desktop. And now we'll move on and save the private key. So we just click the Save Private Key here. What this is asking me if I want to create a passphrase to protect the key, so that it requires me both to have the key and a password that hopefully I haven't written down or labeled in the file or anything like that. So I'm going to go ahead and create a passphrase here, and then we'll hit Save Private Key. Okay, so I've rearranged my desktop a little bit so I can see these files. And Windows kind of identifies this file .pub as a publisher file. What we want to do is open that in Notepad. This is our public key, so that's going to go on the public device, which is going to be the rXg. And so we're just going to copy this entire key, and then we're going to go add it to an admin profile within the rXg. So in the rXg, you want to navigate to System and then Admins. And here we're going to create a new profile. I'm just going to create a temporary one. We'll call this temp. So down here at the bottom, we want to paste in our public key. And then we also want to check this box here that says allowed for access here on the right. And you can just give it any name that seems appropriate. Go ahead and hit create. So the final step here will be to test our key. I'm going to open Putty, and then we're going to create a session here for the system. So this starts out with a username, and then and then the FQDN of the system. And then on the left-hand side here, we want to click on SSH, and then expand that and click on auth, and then click browse to the private key file that we're going to be used that's paired with that public key file. Once you've done that, go ahead and click open. And then before we connect, we want to go ahead and save this session. So click on session, give the session a name. That way you can use it in the future, and then hit save. Now we'll go ahead and hit open. We're going to get a warning. Just go ahead and click accept to get past that warning. Enter our passphrase. And then we've logged into the rXg via SSH. All right, guys. Well, that concludes this video. You now know how to SSH via Mac as well as Windows, and I hope this was helpful for you. Have a good day.